Welcome to Forthwrite, the podcast with, for and by women writers.
We have some brilliant guest writers lined up for you this season, covering a wide range of genres and experience.
We hope you enjoy it.
Please note, this episode comes with a trigger warning for mentions of domestic abuse and sexual assault.
Hi, and welcome to the Forthwrite podcast. I'm Anna.
And I'm Sam, and today we're absolutely thrilled to have Pam Williams with us. Hi, Pam.
Hi there.
Hi. So Pam is a Grenadian heritage writer born in London. She studied fashion at St Martin's School of Art, graduating in 1984. For 2 decades, Pam worked as a fashion journalist, magazine fashion editor for She, PS, Shape and Now, and a freelance stylist. After leaving the fashion world to be a foster carer for 3 years, Pam retrained and gained a postgraduate certificate of education. Since 2018, she has taught at a special school in Westminster, where she now leads the post-16 plus class and recently progressed to middle leader for careers and transitions. Maya Angelou inspired Pam's teenage dream of becoming an author, and it was her heroine's death in 2014 that renewed her determination to dare to try and make that fantasy a reality. Pam joined the group African Heritage Writers and attended writing workshops to hone and share her craft. Pam's short story, Soul Talking, was highly commended and published in the City of Stories anthology, 2017, Spread the Word. And she contributed to AHW's poetry and prose collection, 100 Years Unheard, WW1 and the African Diasporan Woman, 2018. In 2019, Pam applied for the London Writers' Award, a mentoring programme run by writers' development agency Spread the Word. The extract she submitted from a novel that she'd started and put aside many times 30 years before secured her a place. By the end of the programme, the manuscript had been transformed into the first draft of A Trace of Sun, and North Bank Talent Management offered Pam representation. Legend Press then acquired the rights to publish the book. While waiting for the big day of publication, Pam won the Black Ink Magazine New Writing 2022 prize with short story Hibiscus and completed the first draft of her second book. Pam's debut novel, A Trace of Sun, was published on the 1st of March 2024 and was longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction.
Oh, and it is from A Trace of Sun that Pam is going to read today. So I'm just going to give the synopsis and then over to you, Pam. So A Trace of Sun is part inspired by the experiences of the author's family. Described as a powerful and unflinching novel, it explores the emotional trauma of the family separation and tells the story of Scylla and Rafe, a mother and son of the Windrush generation. Scylla leaves Grenada in 1960 to join her husband in England and a better life for their family. Rafe is 8 years old. He doesn't understand the circumstances that forces him to leave her behind with his aunt, yet take his baby brother with her. London is a shock to Scylla, and far from being the promised land she dreamed. Despite her hard work, it is 7 years before she can send for Rafe. The family reunites, but the introverted child Rafe once was has grown into a resentful teenager. Rafe feels like an outsider. He struggles to fit in or accept a little sister he doesn't know, and his relationship with his father gradually crumbles. Rafe can't shake off the sense of abandonment and rejection, and the emotional impact of this culminates in a psychosis. The shocking action Rafe takes is out of control, and it rips his family apart. 15 years on, and it's 1994. Scylla and Rafe have moved forward in their separate lives, but each harbours a secret. She yearns to find her son and purge her own past actions, while he seeks only to keep his family and the history of his mental health issues hidden from the woman that he loves. But in the end, Scylla's revelation will make Rafe question all he ever knows of who he is. Oh, wow. Okay, over to you, Pam. If it's okay with you, if you could just tell us whereabouts in the book you're going to be reading the extract from as well.
Okay, so I'm going to read a piece from April 1974. So Rafe is kind of settled into the family now. They've moved house and everything seems to be going quite well and is beginning to bond.
Brilliant.
So here goes. April 1974. Sheets of rain beat an attack on the concrete path outside his window. Rafe lounged on the bed in the quiet of his room, fighting drowsiness as he listened to the winds howl. Davy knocked and entered on hearing Rafe's lazy, "Yes?" "Want to play dominoes?" his brother asked, swiftly adding, "Your table's better because it's wood." He shrugged. Why not? It was Sunday afternoon. He didn't have any plans and wasn't in the mood to go out and get drenched, even if he did. He agreed Lucy could join them in what he considered their basement, to escape from the war of words that waged between their parents in the room next to hers at the top of the house. Felt a little sorry for her, stuck up there. He'd discovered over TV shows and board games that turned out to be fine, fun even, that she wasn't so unbearable now she was a teenager. Hold that! Rafe blammed his final domino down, rising from his seat to celebrate his win. As his siblings' exclamation subdued, they heard shouting. Mummy and Sonny, layering a torrent of words on each other. Can we play some music? Lucy asked, gnawing a fingernail. Rafe rumbled Burning Spear's bass line through the room, rose the volume to drown out the remaining hum of their parents' old animosity raging anew above their heads. Sitting in his chair by the rain-beaten window, opened a few inches to let a stream of coldness in and blow endless wisps of cigarette smoke out, he relaxed, surveyed Davy, reclined on the bed, long legs stretched to the floor, feet tapping, while Lucy preened and sang. Girl, you can't sing, Rafe teased. The soft words still strange to his ears. The loathing he once armoured himself with stripped away over the last 2 years, peace having called time on his anger. A delicate web of bonds had formed. They knew each other a little now, not inside out, better though. Keeping still, he posed, bag in hand in response to her, I've got to capture the real you, as she sketched him, admired the skillful strokes of charcoal taking shape on paper. You're good, he eventually told her. Face bright, she encased a bashful thank you in a smile that warmed him, making him feel like a big brother to his little sister. Family. Once music was playing and the three of them were at ease, Lucy grabbing her pad to outline him or Davy, it didn't matter which. Those times became something to relish. Drawing was cathartic. He knew, understood how easy it was to get lost in capturing a detail. So caught up, tensions evaporated into nothingness. Seeing concentration quiet her as she leaned her head to one side or tapped fingertips against her lips, considering each mark, it occurred to him they were more alike than either realised. Listening more when she talked about her art, he heard her love for it, imagined her sitting on a high stool at the bench she spoke of, fingers dusted with chalk, the scent of linseed oil and fixative spray permeating the atmosphere's mustardness. Appreciated why she chose that quiet stillness over the rowdiness of the playground. Patience settled, so her mention of friends and other lessons and teachers didn't immediately bore him, but made him a student again, learning her. Occasionally, she shared something unexpected. Can I show you this? He took the ribbon-tied box she handed him, peeked in at the prize-giving certificates stored inside, handing them gently like the treasure they clearly were. He lifted them, examined the fancy penmanship. Hey, you come top for your class, he congratulated her, added, I used to too. Something else they had in common. I know, Mummy keeps telling me. Mummy's still boasting. That made him feel soft inside.
Oh,
Wow.
well, yeah, I absolutely love this book. And it's just, it's kind of magic, I think, to hear something read in the author's own voice. So thank you so much for your reading.
Oh, my pleasure.
So kind of just diving straight in, really, the settings in A Trace of Sun are really evocative, and you've got two kind of really distinct places with Grenada and then with London, and sort of the I think you really captured the sort of the drabness and the grey of London and against the vibrancy of Grenada. And so when you were writing it, did you have kind of a method of thinking yourself into those places? And as well, I guess, because it's set in the 70s and stuff as well, and so
Yeah, absolutely. The first time I went to Grenada, I was 9. That was like 1969, 1970. I can't remember. So I have the memory of being there that first time and seeing everything with those fresh eyes, and still remembering the lushness, the heat, and the places that we went to, that we go to every time I go. So that Granance Beach and Granatang where the lake is. So all those places are very much in my memory, and those are the things that I always think of that make me feel good, and that's my happy place.
Yeah.
I think I absolutely agree. I think that there was the contrast between the two was like really palpable when you're reading it. You could just really transcend yourself into those places. And I think as well with the book, one of the things was that it deals with some really difficult themes around mental health and racism, and some of the scenes that are depicted as well are particularly harrowing to read. And I just wonder, as an author, like, how it was to write these. How do you protect yourself in the process of writing things that are really, really kind of quite difficult to write?
Yeah, and those scenes were quite hard, and I had to write them over and over again to get them really right, because I wanted to be quite sensitive about it, and then needed to show the build up to things and why things happened, so that Rafe wouldn't then be hated for his actions, because the reader would understand. But writing in itself is quite cathartic. So it's, even though you're kind of feeling the emotional stress of it, you're also writing it out, if you see what I mean. So yeah. But revisiting, sometimes having to put it down and just move on to something else, and then come back to it and start again, or just add a bit here, and just keeping leaving it and returning to it, just giving it a bit of space.
I think that really comes through, though, because I think Rafe comes across as such a very complex character as well. The kind of the turmoil and the struggle with his mental health comes through very clearly.
Absolutely, empathy there for him.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
We said in the introduction that you sort of the sort of beginnings of A Trace of Sun started as about your mum 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's there's a kind of parts of the story that you've had with you for a very long time, like that.
Yeah.
And, So, and then you've said you've finished writing your second novel now, is that right?
Yes, I have. That's been sent out to try and get a publisher now. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
How was the experience of writing that versus this with A Trace of Sun that kind of was with you for a long time?
So it's actually something else that I'd written not quite as long ago. I'd written it maybe 6-7 years ago. But I'd written it from a perspective of a teenager, and I felt it was too young adult, so I had to rewrite the whole thing and change the perspective. And so it was kind of writing from scratch, but using the original draft as my notes. So it was a bit different. But I think slightly easier because I'd had the experience of writing one.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew what I was doing a bit more, felt a bit more, okay, I need to remember this or I need to remember that. And kept stopping to know what is it I'm trying to say here, or what do I want the reader to know, and why do I want me to say that then?
Yeah,
and taking things out and move things around. So I think I think the experience of writing the first one has definitely helped make it a little bit easier to do the second.
As someone who it takes a very long time to finish things, that is it's good to hear that
you'll get there in the end.
And it might get easier as well.
We'd said as well about how you joined the African Heritage Writers.
Yes.
And so are you still part of that group, or do you have a group
that you... Yes, absolutely.
So do you share work with each other, or do you kind of have a trusted group that you can get some who kind of critique your work? At what point do you start sharing?
Yeah, so I joined them in order to share, because I've always written. I've written from about the age of 9 stories, and then I started to write poetry. But it was like a sort of like a secret love affair. So I just do it in my free time, and if something was on my mind, I might write a poem to get it off. And I didn't really share my work. So all those years of writing, and I just, after Maya Angelou died, I was like, how can you say you want to be a writer, but yet nobody's allowed to read your work? That is ridiculous. So I joined the writers group, and I tended to do more poetry because it was easier to share things within a session rather than chunks of the novel. But because I did the London Writers Award, I was part of a feedback group throughout that. And we'd share like 10,000 words, and we'd all critique it and have a meeting and go through it. So that was really, really helpful.
Yeah.
I've just literally buddied up with another writer to work on my third book, just to have someone to bounce those ideas off, and someone who gives me that criticism and tell me what's wrong, what's not working, because those are the things that you can't always see.
Yeah.
And it's so important as well to have people who are going to give you the honest critique that you need, because it's brilliant that to have your champions around you, but you kind of need them at the other end when it's out in the world.
Yeah, yeah. You need to know what's going wrong. You need to know that sounds like rubbish. They wouldn't say that. They wouldn't do that. Why have you done this? And make you think about things more deeply, because when you're so close to it, you can't see what's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, definitely you need to have feedback. Somebody who is going to be harsh with you and tell you the honest truth.
And do you find it useful to have feedback from somebody who's writing in a similar style or genre, or does that not really matter?
No, I think because the readers are so diverse, so I don't think it matters too much.
Yeah,
to be fair.
And you've had obviously, because you did the fashion journalism as well, and that must be an incredibly different way of writing as well.
Yeah, because that was trying to capture things in about 3 or 4 lines. But that kind of also, I love describing things. I love imagery.
Yeah.
So in a way, that kind of feeds into both of those things, trying to sum things up in a few words, but then having the luxury in the novel to really let things flow and to take your time to describe things.
Yeah, you really captured the style, the fashion and things in those bits. It's,
and how it changes as well from when you first start the book, that as you're getting into the 90s as well. Yes, there's definitely a kind of a visual journey with all of that as well in terms of the clothes.
Yeah, because I wanted the things like the movies that were out, and I'd had to go and check when did this come out in London and that sort of thing. But I think they just sum up an era so well. The things people wore, the movies people went to see, the music that was around, the hairstyle. So yeah, it was quite important to try and make it as real as possible.
Yeah,
I'm remembering a lot of those things.
But it gives people a real sense of place as well, doesn't it? You only need to have a couple of clues in those things, and you can take people straight back into that era. Yeah, definitely. So for you as a writer, what are you like as a reader? What do you like to read?
So it's really hard to find time to read, because obviously I work full time. Now I only do 4 days a week, but I work at a special school, so it's very full on. And generally, I read on the tube journey. So nowadays, I put things on my phone to read.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think what I've read.
Put you on the spot a bit there.
And I do think it's a tricky one as well, isn't it? Sometimes it's my my worst question when people say, what's your favourite book, or what do you like to read? It's like when people say, what kind of music are you into? It's like,
Yeah, it depends, doesn't it? Yeah. I mean, my actual book collection is Black women authors that I started collecting from a teenager.
Yeah.
So I've got all the Alice Walker, all Terry Macmillan, I've got all of Andrea Levy's, I've got all those are books that I'd like to buy and keep and build my library around.
Yeah.
So I would say probably I like a bit of romance every now and again. If I'm going on holiday, I like something a little bit of romance to flip through.
Yeah.
But I suppose those kind of family sagas, not necessarily historical, but those kind of books that delve into relationships and how family units work and those kind of things that I like writing about.
It's quite nice sometimes to read things that just take you completely out of your own life and out of your own head and somewhere else.
Yeah, because you don't want to. Yeah, I think it's nice to read about something that's completely different to what you know, because you're learning something completely different as well, and then you can just step inside somebody else's life. That's quite nice.
And then obviously that was just kind of talking about reading around work. But so when do you write? Well, how do you fit your writing to your busy life?
So I tend to write in the evening. So maybe sort of after 8 o'clock-ish, after we've had dinner and done the washing up, and then I might write from maybe 8 till 10, 11. Just depends if the words are flowing or not.
Yeah.
And then weekends, I might just spend whole day saying that I'm writing. That does mean I have to check all the social media and do a bit of shopping before I get started.
It's not writing if you don't.
Quite a lot of time of preparing. Yeah. So but the weekends and not school holidays, really dedicated. And now that I don't work Fridays, Friday is officially a writing day. So I now need to get into my routine because I've finished the second book. I've had a little bit of a pause and just been like meeting people for lunch and catching up with old friends. But now that I've got my writing buddy, it's like going to be full on back into it and getting into my routine.
And where do you write? Can you write at home, or do you have to go outside of the house, or what does?
Oh no, I like writing at home. I can write. I can stay in the house and not leave for 3 days quite easily, as long as there's food in the house and water. So I have a desk set up in my kitchen, so I'm near the TV and got a stereo on one side and the cooker and everything I need, and my kettle because I love tea.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, the kitchen is being renovated, so my current position is in the spare room, overlooking the garden and overlooking the flat, so I can see what people are doing. So they might appear somewhere in the next book. So yeah, but as long as I've got a quiet space, and sometimes I write in silence, but sometimes I like to have a bit of music playing as well, just to get a new vibe going and just relax.
And what's your the third book about? Can we ask?
The third book is. It's a little bit undecided. So I've kind of got the idea. It's based around friendship, but it's two girls who are friends when they're very young, and something terrible happens because something terrible has to happen. And they are separated, and they don't see each other for 20 years, and then one looks for the other, and they finally meet. But neither of them know what happened to the other. They both leave this incident thinking the worst. And then, so they're completely shocked that yes, they're both alive. So then it's like catching up on what happened, how it impacted them, where they ended up, and what resentments or guilt they were, handling.
So do you tend to really focus on the characters, and it's kind of your characters that are the ones that are driving the narrative rather than So and when you start out writing, then do your characters kind of dictate where the story goes, or do you have a plan of what's going to happen before?
So sometimes I might just have a couple of scenes that I really want to include, and then I'll build the story kind of around those.
Yeah.
And then start thinking, okay, so that bit's happened, so what next? And what's that going to spur them on to do? So I find it hard to plan in detail what's going to happen. Although this is probably this time around, because it's a little bit complicated, I'm kind of like mapping out this person's going to be telling this bit, and this person's going to be telling this half of the story, and they're going to be kind of intertwined.
Yeah. So
I'm probably going to have to do a little bit more planning than I would normally. But I think once I start writing, the ideas start to come, and then I might just write a scene in isolation and then go back to the beginning, or I might actually write the end when I've decided what the end's going to be, and then do some chapters leading up to the end, and then go back to the beginning again. And so, yeah, it's very higgledy-piggledy.
I like to write like that sometimes as well, because I think sometimes for me, if I try and write in a linear way, I can kind of run out of steam a little bit. And
it's hard to do that, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes
it's more for a short story, maybe, but I think when you're writing a novel, and sometimes you write something that's going to happen later on, and then you might move that to the beginning, or things can be moved around and changed around. And I just think if you've got really strong scenes or something quite exciting or scary or horrifying, whatever it is going to happen, that can really trigger lots of other ideas.
Yeah. So I know that you're clearly a very busy person, and and writing has, can be quite disciplined with when you slot your writing in. But what happens if you're sitting down in your kitchen with your cup of tea, with your tunes on, about to start writing, and the ideas don't come? Do you have anything that you do to kind of get the creative juices flowing? Do you have any? Yeah. Do you need to get away from your desk or do anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I might get up and walk around or change the playlist, but I think sometimes just to do like a free write and just write, literally just write and don't stop for 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just write about anything, write a poem even, just write something, because I think once I've started writing, then it becomes easier to focus.
Yes, I think that's very true as well, because I think sometimes just staring at the blank page in itself can just be utterly terrifying. And the things that you write don't necessarily need to make it into the book, do they? But I guess it's the...
No, exactly. And I think once you start seeing their words on the page and you're beginning to fill it up, you feel a bit more, okay, right, it's working now. And then you can keep going. And as I say, you don't have to keep it, but it will kind of like kickstart you a little bit.
And you said as well about that you'd written since you were a little girl. Did you always know that you wanted to be a writer? Did you always know that you wanted to have something published, or was it writing for pleasure and then developed into the novel?
Well, I started as writing for pleasure because when I was about 9 or 10. I remember I had a notebook and I was always writing stories, and my mum sent it off to there was something about gifted young writers that she was like convinced I should win this, whatever it was. And she sent my notebook off, and then it got lost in the post.
Oh no!
But that was she was very upset. But that was kind of the first time. Yeah. But even then, I was upset because I'd lost my book of work. But at that point, I didn't think I was going to be able to be a writer. And then, as I said, like Maya Angelou, I Know Where the Cage Birds Sing.
Yeah. That
was the book that really made me want to write, because then I wanted to write about my mum, because it was like this woman who had been through all these challenges, and my mum had been through her challenges, and I was thinking, you can tell a story about a black woman and just real life.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the beginning of A Trace of Sun, trying to think of write about her. But of course, parents don't necessarily sit down and tell you all the things that happened to them. So I couldn't really do her memoir or do her biography. But it was a starting point for the book.
Yeah.
And then progress from there. But I think that was the first time that I thought, that was the beginning of the dream to be a published author, because Maya Angelou said, wrote beautifully, and she was very inspirational. And that was something. I don't know how much I believed it, but that was the dream that I had.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and then as time went on. Sorry.
So the notebook got lost, that one, when you were a kid, but it seems like you kind of you had a lot of momentum through like entering competitions and things. Kind of more recent years.
Yeah, but definitely more recently. I just think it's kind of a good test for yourself to just write different things, because writing a short story is very different to writing a novel. You're saying a lot more, and you've got to be quite, think about when things are going to happen and how you're going to hint at things, how you're going to place things. So it's just a different approach, and I quite like. I like that idea and some different way of doing things. So my short story for the Blank Ink magazine, I think that was 2,000 words.
Yeah.
But the one that I did for the City of Stories, the first one, that was like 500 words.
Oh wow, yeah.
So it's quite different, having to sort of condense things and still create a vibe and create a mood and create some imagery and draw people in.
Yeah, it's a completely different discipline, isn't it? Right, like being able to write a story within 500 words. That's
exactly. You've got to say a lot in a very short space.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good, and writing poetry as well. Just different ways of challenging, and just seeing what your strengths are.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the time, and I can't believe it. We've nearly come to the end of our half an hour.
Oh, wow.
We've just got a final question for you, Pam, which is for some of our listeners, they'll be relatively new to writing or starting to think about their journey as writers. So I guess what advice would you give to somebody who is starting out on their writing journey, or what would you have told yourself at the beginning of your writing career?
Yeah. Well, for me, stop hiding your work. Yeah. Someone has to read it. Find someone that you trust, or maybe find someone that go to a writing group, or find someone who you can maybe do like a virtual, write-in with.
Yeah.
But share and get somebody who's going to be hard on you and be honest with you, because they will push you to be better. It's lovely to hear that you write beautifully and this is so wonderful, but you need to know all the other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I found all the writing workshops. There are loads of writing workshops, lots of free ones like Spread the Word, who I did loads of their workshops. I did the London Writers Award with, and they have lots and lots of things across London all the time. go to workshops, because then you get to meet other people, and you might meet someone there that you might hook up with, and be able to buddy up and do writing with, or just have critique from.
Yeah.
So go out there. There are virtual ones as well. So even if you can't physically go, you can still do something online. I think workshops are fantastic. I still love going to workshops. I'm always going to workshops. I'm quite keen on trying a writer's retreat now, because I like the idea of going somewhere a bit glam and just sitting there and writing. But join something, share.
I think that's absolutely brilliant advice. So yes, don't keep your writing to yourself. Share it with others. Be brave. Have a go at writing groups and so on. And yes, absolutely get on a writing retreat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pam. And for people who want to find out more about you, how would they find you? Are you on social media? Or could you share your handles with us?
I am. So what am I? So on Instagram, I'm Pam Williams, author. And on X, formerly known as Twitter, I am Pam Will Write.
Great. Brilliant. So look out for Pam, follow her,
look out for me.
And let's all look out for her new book as well.
Yes, please.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks so much, ladies.
You've been listening to the Forthwrite podcast.
Check out our website, forthwrite.uk, for further writing resources.